Hello, beautiful people, and welcome back. I have been away for a little while as there has been so much going on, and so I've been needing a lot of time to ground these energies. So many things happening, so many cosmic shifts, and earlier this week we did have a full moon, which seems like it was just the other day that the last full moon passed. I was quite shocked that it was already here. And it was a full moon in the sign of Aries. And so, really, what this represents is, Aries represents the head when we look at the zodiac. And Aries energy is all about initiating and starting things and taking the road less traveled and kind of just moving forward and going towards things without necessarily knowing what is going to happen. So really, if you look into the energies of what Aries represents, it's kind of that when you light a match on a matchbox, it's that initial spark that without that spark the rest of the match wouldn't ignite. And so this is really what this full moon energy is bringing us, in that, the full moon is all about highlighting what has been hidden beneath the shadows, and especially as we have been in the month of October, which is the month of Halloween. And really, if you look into the sort of more spiritual sides of what Halloween represents, it is talking about the fact that the veil between the seen and the unseen realms is as thin as it could possibly get. And we are already living in a time where this veil has been getting thinner and thinner, hence why everything is just absolutely so crazy in this world at this time. And I'm sure many of you out there are experiencing all kind of tumultuous and crazy changes. And these can be difficult, these can be uncomfortable, these all of these changes that are taking place in the world at this moment is really serving to put pressure on humanity for us to move forward, because really the only constant is change, and the more we are reluctant to change, the less this change can occur. And what is happening now is that we are going through a period of massive change, and change in a way that the human mind can't possibly contemplate, sorry. And so what my mind is brought to when I say that is kind of like when the internet came out. Nobody could have possibly imagined some of the things that would have been created as a result of the internet being created. When we think back to like the 90s, or the the 90s, one couldn't have imagined or expected some of the things that we are living today. And so what is happening at this time is that these changes are so much bigger than we can really compute. And so it's like things are getting ready to be created, but things that we can't even possibly really imagine, because it is so it hasn't even been created yet. I've been feeling for many years that things are just kind of, everything is just the same. And even when you look online at all these content creators, it's just like everyone is just regurgitating the same old boring shit over and over and over and over again. And we are getting to a point where a door is being opened for something into the next dimension, something that hasn't been seen before, something that we haven't experienced before. And so there has been a massive shift. And essentially what this full moon is also bringing is it is forcing people to open their first eye, their spiritual eye, because the reason why so many people in this world have been feeling lost, confused, why the world is just in the utter state of chaos that it is because people have totally disconnected from their spirituality. And we have to remember that we are soul beings having a physical human experience. So we are first spiritual beings before we are physical beings. But essentially what has happened is that everyone has forgotten about the fact that we are first spiritual. And so what is happening now with the veil being so thin, and what is happening now and has been happening for many years, sort of in the past, has been preparing humanity to take this this quantum leap essentially into a future that we can't quite embody because we are no longer operating from the same level of consciousness as we once were. And so everyone has been being pushed to do their shadow work and to look within at what are the things that are no longer serving, because I think it's safe to say that everyone has been, forced to look inwards. And this all started off in 2020 when everyone was forced to go inwards because, well, we couldn't be outside. And so all of this has been forcing us to look within, to look within, to look within. And the more we look within, the more we discover aspects of ourselves that we didn't know were there. These are all the hidden aspects. And essentially what has been happening is that, once you get comfortable in your comfort zone, if someone comes and forces you out of your comfort zone, it's a lot less comfortable than when you choose to leave the comfort zone of your own free will and volition. And what has been happening now is that too few people were actively choosing to leave their comfort zone and go somewhere new. And so the universe has kind of been like, well, if you're not going to leave, then I'm just going to have to force you through it. And so that is what has been happening. We have been being forced out of our comfort zone into a whole new area. But if you think about the comfort zone, before it became comfortable, you had to make it comfortable. And how did you make it comfortable? Well, if you over time think about your home, for example, at first you see it, okay, you visit it, that perhaps it's unfurnished, then you get to decide all of the things that you are bringing into this home. And every single thing, whether it's the paint to the furniture to the people that you invite, all of these things that you invite or bring into your home are creating a certain ambiance, a certain frequency, a certain vibe. It's just like when you're home, you feel safe, you feel comfortable, and it's because you're surrounded by all kinds of things that are familiar. But once you leave your home and you move to, say, another country where you don't know anyone, you don't know the language, you don't know anything, once you move into that home, everything is going to feel totally foreign, especially if you are forced to go to to move to another country as opposed to you choosing it. These are two, the whole way you're going to experience everything is going to be totally different. And so this is what has been happening. We've all kind of been pushed out of our homes and forced to seek new homes. But in this seeking of new homes, and as we experience all of these different challenges, what is happening is that we are being given an opportunity to experience parts of ourselves that we didn't even know existed. Because it is in those moments of challenge where you are forced to experience different parts of you, because it's kind of like when you're faced with adversity and difficult times, you behave very differently than when you're in comfortable, blissful times. And so what is happening is that, as they say, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And so essentially we're being put pressure on so deeply so that we are forced to grow. And they say that, diamonds are created under pressure. Well, my beautiful people, here, it means that you are a diamond, especially if you have been experiencing a lot of pressure coming in from so many different aspects and areas of your life. Then this is an indication that you truly are a diamond, here to shine light far and wide, because your energy is needed at this time. And this is also what is really being shown here, is that as we have shifted into this new frequency, things don't operate in the same ways they once did. And what's happening is that as we continue moving forward, there is going to be less and less focus being put on this material world, because really, in Matrix, they said it best, the kid that's like bending the spoon with his mind, and he says, don't try and bend the spoon, that would be stupid, because it's about manipulating the energy. We comprehend that what is creating and controlling this physical dimension that we have all been so stuck in, it is being controlled by the non-physical realm. And so the more you gain mastery over the non-physical realm, the more you gain mastery over this realm, because you comprehend and understand that what is controlling this physical reality is the non-tangible, is the thoughts, is the emotions, is everywhere that your mind is being paid attention to. Because remember, they say wherever wherever your mind, what is it that they say? Wherever your mind goes, energy flows, or whatever it is that they say. But I think you understand, by whatever you put your attention on, the more your intention is flowing there, whether you're conscious of it or not. But the idea now is to become more and more conscious of what is constantly going in your mind, because your mind is controlling your emotions, and your emotions are controlling your actions, and your actions are basically the core of where you find yourself today. So it is a chain reaction. But if we miss out on one of these sort of cogs in that system, then of course the system cannot function in harmony. And so I guess all of that is what needed to be said in preparation for whatever the cards have to say here. And interestingly enough, I was called to pull from 6 different decks. So it's a lot of different energies that are wanting to come through here at the moment. And it was interesting because yesterday, for the first time ever, I connected with the energy of somebody called Melusine. And so it was interesting because I've never heard this name before, but somehow as I was leaving my gate, suddenly the name was just in my psyche and consciousness, and was just saying Melusine, Melusine, Melusine. And I was just like, okay, I need to go and do some research as to what this is about. And so as I go and I do my research to find out what this Melusine is about, it basically breaks it down to, it was a fascinating story. So obviously based in mythology. But what I have to highlight here is that everything that is in mythology, these things don't just come out of nowhere. These things, there is always truth in myth, because that myth was built off of something that happened realistically. And so they talk about who Melusine was, and essentially she was a hybrid who was part fairy, part human. But somehow she was also, so I think this was the basis upon which the Little Mermaid was built, because essentially she was cursed by, I believe, her mother, who was a fairy. I can't remember the entire story. You can go and do your own research about this. But anyways, it was something to do again with the dragons, because she was cursed to continue to be a human on a daily basis. And on the Saturday, she was cursed to have the top of a as a woman, and the bottom part of a serpent. And so she met some guy, and essentially, made a deal with this guy, said, yes, I will marry you. And the only reason that I can marry you is if every Saturday you just leave me to have my privacy, because on Saturday, obviously, she would turn into this half serpent being. And story short, anyways, eventually guy finds out, doesn't give her privacy, sees that she is part serpent, one day brings it up, blah, blah, blah. Long story short, at some point, eventually, she turns into a full-blown dragon, is what the story says. And so what is interesting is that there has been a lot of dragon energy and dragon frequency that I have been connecting with for a few years. I think it was in like 2020, had this very strange dream of, there being some war, and who came in from over the ocean was the dragons who were here to help us fight the war. And so, again, at another point when I did a past life regression, which was supposed to take me to a past life, rather than connecting with a past life, I again connected with the dragons. And the dragons communicated and said, we are here, the dragons are here to save the children. Because what we have to remember is that now, remember that as the non-physical realm is becoming closer and closer to the tangible realm, we have been living so much on this physical reality, completely ignoring what is going on in the higher dimensions. And remember, the higher dimensions is, for example, our thoughts. Our thoughts are not tangible, but yet it is our thoughts that control our bodies. And so what is happening now is that the spirit realm is becoming more and more present on the physical realm, because we are becoming more aware of our spiritual selves as opposed to only being in our human selves. And so the frequency of the dragons is I'm sure many of you have heard of this concept of us shifting from 3D to 5D. And so we are literally moving from the third dimension into the fifth dimension. And in the fifth dimension, obviously, things become less dense, and it's like the higher you go, the less density, so that once you reach the highest levels of density, well, you are the least dense and therefore the least necessary to have a physical body. I hope this is making sense. But anyways, let us get into the cards. So a lot of energy with the dragons. And so this whole concept also of Melusine visiting me yesterday, which was also very interesting, because in my research, it came to be told that this Melusine was the mermaid figure that is used on the Starbucks logo. And so it is very interesting, because there has been a lot of information that is being shared about mermaids being seen and things happening in the oceans. And remember, my beautiful people, that there is more water on this planet than there is Earth. So there are so many things that we are yet to fully comprehend and understand. But the dragons, the mermaids, a lot of this energy is what is happening. So maybe this is going to activate some of you out there. Maybe this is going to bring you awareness into different things, or maybe just you being exposed to this video is opening your frequencies so that these beings, these dragon and mermaid type frequencies, can connect with you. So all of that, we can now get into the cards. And so interestingly enough, the first two cards that we have at the top, we have a numerology of 7 and 7. So 7 being really, the way I look at the archetype of the 7 is the spiritual number. It's the archetype of the sacred seeker, is what kind of when it comes out, is that you are on a journey of really exploring the deeper aspects of life. And so this is what is happening now with this full moon, and opening up your first eye, your spiritual eye, allowing you to see so much more past the veil of the material realm, is that you are opening to the higher dimensions. And so really I wanted to highlight also that a lot of the cards here that I pulled were very much connected into the divine feminine energies. And so again, this is not about gender, we're talking about energies. And so even whether you're a man out there, you also have feminine energies. And so what we are seeing happening right now, as much as there is chaos, the deeper things that are happening, because there is a result for everything, so everything that is happening now is basically the byproduct of something that has happened in the higher realms. And in the higher realms, what is happening is that we are seeing the rise of the divine feminine, and this is why we are seeing so many women stand up. We are seeing the people of Africa stand up, because Mother Africa, this is divine feminine energy. And so these energies, and a big part of what divine feminine energy represents is the spiritual aspects. This is the right side of our brain. This is all to do with creativity and intuition and love and harmony and nurturing. And think about those energies of the mother. It's nurturing and loving and soft and warm and gentle. And these are the energies that have been seriously lacking on our planet, because at the end of the day, everyone is just walking around as a traumatized fucking soul, and really what they need, they just need a hug. They just need somebody to hold them and to love them and to tell them you are loved, you are accepted. And this is why there's just so much dark shit that happens in the world, is because people just need to be held and loved and nurtured. And if you didn't receive that as a child, and remember, we are also transmuting energies from so many past lives. This is not the only life that you have lived, and there is so much dense traumatized energies that is sitting within our DNA. And we just need to be loved and held and nurtured. and told you are beautiful, you are loved, you are accepted, you are good enough. Because even if we've all made mistakes and we've done some fucked up shit in our life, that is totally okay, because you have to look to the root cause of these things. What triggered those actions? And hurt people hurt people. And so really what is happening in the world, the reason that we have manifested this shithole that we have been living in, is because everyone is creating from a place of pain and a place of trauma and a place of judgment and a place of, you know, we have to be shameful and we have to hide and we have all this pain, and this is just really what is needed to be just let go of all the stuff that we're holding. And so interesting, the first two cards that we have here is Sacred Temple and Womb. And so look at all this, you know, very divine feminine energy here. You have, you know, here the womb, this, you know, all we want is just to go back into this cocoon. Like, think about how like soft and held and supported you felt when you were in your mother's womb, and this was the sacred temple. And so this is what we are returning to, the sacred temple, which is the womb. And so we are also, you know, we have been going back into this period of like, we all had to die in a sense to be reborn. And so, you know, many of us have been sitting in the womb, and as you look here, like, you know, she's going to give birth at any point here, and she's holding her eggs, which for me is really a sign of fertility. And so, you know, we have all been sort of sitting in the sacred temple of Mother Earth, of Mother Africa, so that, you know, we're sitting here in the womb and we're getting ready to be rebirthed. You know, we're getting ready to come through the birthing canal and to just experience life, and you experience life from a place of no more hardness, no more like blah, just everything being difficult and heavy and like oppressive, and just like, it's just like let it go. We don't need this heavy energy anymore. And so there has been a period of like heavy transmutation energy that's been going on, and all of these things have needed to transmute in order for that, you know, that spiritual first eye to open itself and to see what lies behind this veil. You know, when we're so focused on our physical eyes, it's like we don't pay attention to all the other senses. It's like our hearing is just as important, our spiritual sight is just as important, our, you know, our sense of smell, our sense of like hearing, and even feeling, because you're constantly feeling through like your hairs and like the hairs on the back of your neck. It's like, you know, when you get the shivers, it's like they stand up. It's like, you know, our hair is like our antenna. It's what reaches out to the higher, to the higher realms, and gets this information into the crown, and then brings it in for the rest of the body to kind of anchor in. And so this, you know, we are awakening our deeper senses. We are starting to realize that, you know, you might just be knowing things without knowing how you know these things. And this is just a surrendering. This is part of allowing your intuition to be what guides you. And your intuition is literally your sixth sense. And this is a gift that we have been bestowed upon by, you know, the gods themselves when they created us, so that we can be communing with everything all around us all the time. And so interestingly, as you know, we sit in the womb and we are being rebirthed, we are being rebirthed through the Akashic Stargate. You know, we are realizing that there are so many other densities, so many other doorways that we have access to. And here it says, aligned with purpose, crossroads, no wrong path. It's showing you here that you have access to many other doorways, and whichever you choose will be exactly right for you, because you are at a crossroads, but there is no wrong path, because it is about aligning with your purpose. So which doorway are you going to choose to go through? Which new which new dimension, which new galaxy are you going to go and explore? And as you open yourself up to exploring these deeper, these new dimensions, it's like here you have the rainbow world, here you have like, I don't know, some kind of galactic world. This looks kind of like ethereal ocean vibes, so it's like whichever dimension you choose that you want to go and explore now, this is going to align you even more so with your purpose, and you cannot take any wrong path. And this brings us into heart of source. It's like as you choose, as you've been birthed, as you choose whichever doorway you're going to kind of be birthed into, like look at how this, like, can you feel that energy? It's like you're opening. It's like, this is like, remember the heart space is like what generates all of the energy. And it's like, if your heart is open, look at how much energy, look at how much light can come through. All-encompassing love, unconditional acceptance, serenity. Yes, when you choose that doorway and step into it, like look at how you just like explode here. It's like total serenity. It's like, can you imagine just being at total peace, total bliss, total acceptance? And this is like an explosion of your power. It's like, do not fear your power. Your power is the stargate to your heart. Heart opening, unlocking, generosity. And it's like, as you expand your heart, as you open your heart and you enter into the portal of your heart, it's like now you enter into a new space. And it's like, look at this ethereal city going on here. It's like, look at again, all this light going on. It's like you're entering a whole new dimension. And like, as I look at this image, what comes through to me here deeply is Atlantis. Look at this ethereal energy going on here with Atlantis. It's like, open the portal of your heart. The more you go into your heart, the more you open your heart. It's like you're accessing new realms, new dimensions, new frequencies. You are unlocking the next path of your journey. And it really is just through the heart. And when we're traumatized and we've just experienced so much fucking hardship and life has been so tough on us, and all you want to do is just close off. Like, we don't realize that the more we open, the more we just bring softness, and we surround ourselves with love and gentleness and tenderness, and that is what our inner child needs. Because really what is traumatized is your inner child. The period at which we experience the most amount of trauma in this world is in our childhood. And again, I'm not talking about like blunt force trauma kind of trauma. Remember, when your brain isn't fully developed, like think about how innocent and pure a child is. And if you expose a child to darkness when they're that pure and they're that innocent, like think about how that taints you. Think about how that, like, it's like, think about how bright you are, and imagine you come and just start throwing black paint at this. It's like suddenly it's like more and more that light dims, because you're not supposed to be exposed to that kind of darkness when you were that young. And even any kind of harshness, even if you weren't like just loved and like treated like the gentle, soft creature that you were. Is that, like, when I think about all the harm that is being done to children in this world, it is just so sad what is being done to like the creatures of the forest and the animals and the trees and the children. Like, even just thinking about it, it just makes my heart want to break. And this is what is being exposed now, is just how harshly we treat our children. And this is just the result of how we were treated when we were children. And we have to stop the cycle. We have to treat ourselves with love and generosity, and really operate through our heart space as opposed to through our pain. And this is a perfect transition to the first dragon energy here we have, which is Kuan Yin's pink dragon. Brings firm love that resets your karmic balance. Yes, we just need love and softness See all your cords dissolved by transcendent love. Enjoy your freedom. Look for the divine around you. Yes, we just need more pink energy in our lives. And it's so funny how, so many men out there are just like, no, I can't wear pink. At least those who are not connected with their feminine side. And yet pink is such a sexy color on a man, like for a man to be like, especially when a super masculine man is out there wearing his pink. I mean, it's just like, that just shows such control of your divine masculine, because it means that even though you're like a rugged man and you can wear pink, it just shows that your soft side is there. And when men are really connected to their divine masculine, in some senses I find that men can be even more loving than women, because when a man loves with all his heart, just that love that comes through men is just so powerful. And so this is really the energies that we are all needing, just to surrender to that love. Just if you're going through a time of difficulty and a time of turmoil and a time of like hardness in your life, just for me, the longest time I also was one who couldn't surrender. And this goes deeply into your nervous system, where it just becomes impossible to relax because you just were never held. And so, what I would do is I would put myself in meditation, and what I would imagine was that I was just being cocooned by this like really soft, fluffy pink blanket, and that all these puppies were lying on top of me. And when you haven't experienced that kind of energy ever in your life, you can help yourself to connect with those energies, in the energetic space through meditation. Is just imagine yourself being held and cocooned and giving yourself that softness, because that's just really what we all need. We just need to be held and loved and told, you're good. Like a warm, soft, fluffy pink blanket. Like that's the energy that you need to get into the next level of wherever it is that you're going. You just need to give yourself more of that feminine love, that pure, that let it not be tainted by any kind of sexual energy. And this is what has been happening, is that the feminine energy, the divine feminine energy, is devoid of all that sexuality. It is sensual, but it is not sexual. And for a woman to be able to touch a man or even another woman without any kind of sexual energy, but that softness that can only really come from a woman, is so powerful. And that is what you are needing to bring in for yourself. Soft, just gentle touch, hold yourself. And so the next message that we have here from the dragons is Earth and Water Dragon creates the foundation for new growth. Yes, when you open yourself to all of this heart energy, this creates the foundation you need to ground. Because think about when people who feel loved and supported and held operate very differently in this world than the people who are just fucking traumatized and like walking around in a sense of just waiting for the next worst thing to happen, just constantly on alert, constantly in survival, constantly waiting for the other shoe to drop. And when you're walking through the world in that kind of energy, there's nothing grounded that you can create. You're just creating everything from trauma. So a fresh start is coming with new opportunities. Nurture your ideas and harvest the abundance. Yes, harvest the abundance that comes through this soft energy. Like self-care is on a whole other level. It's also, self-care is not just like a bubble bath and a massage. Self-care is also dealing with your emotional baggage, dealing with your mental baggage, doing that shadow work. This is a great transition into the next card, which is hell, end of a cycle. It's like, look at the hell that she's been through. It's like You know, this is the darkness, and it's interesting because this is the left side, the masculine side, and this is the right side, the feminine side. And so really, you know, as we've been living in the darkness, hiding ourselves, like this is what has been coming through. But as we let go of these shadow aspects, what happens is we exit hell, and now look at the beauty that is wanting to come through. When you totally embrace the shadows and let go of them, true beauty comes to light. But it is about embracing the shadow aspects, because once we go through that cycle of hell, then the cycle ends. You are now ending the cycle of, you know, being in the darkness, doing that intense shadow work, really going deeply and looking for all those heavy energies that needed to be transmuted, making peace with your past, so that now you can be in this energy here, coming into a space of softness, you know, embracing all of the aspects of you, allowing yourself to move through this new path with a new energy. You can't bring this darkness. If you bring this darkness with you into this light, well, then it's just going to be dark again. And right now we're operating from this energy here where it's total light. Don't be afraid to shine your light. Don't be afraid to show who you really are. Shine brightly, show your beauty. This is what is being asked of you at this time. And this is only possible through this emotional healing. We have the energy here of Mother Mary, you know, going through deep emotional healing. It's been a tough time. Many people have really been going through it. And it's because, you know, for only up until a certain period can we continue to, you know, push our feelings away. Eventually they're going to catch up with you. You can hide as much as possible. And this is also why we're seeing so many people getting cancer, because for too long people have been, you know, kind of sweeping their proverbial shit under the rug. And eventually it's just kind of like, okay, you can ignore me so much that eventually I'm just going to be eating away at your body. You can ignore me all you want, but eventually I will turn into cancer so that you're forced to deal with me. Because at the basis of every single physical element, literally there is none that is not included. At the root of every physical ailment is an emotional problem. And this is why, you know, people run away from emotional stuff. It's just like, oh, when women are expressing their emotions anyway, oh, you're being too emotional. Emotions are a superpower. This is how women are so connected to their children. It is through emotion. And people think that intuition is part of the emotional body. It is because, remember, the emotions, we feel them. And most people don't want to feel shit. So they, you know, it's like literally they turn off their humanity. They run away from their emotions. But emotions and intuition go hand in hand. How many of you people get gut feelings and then ignore them? Those gut feelings are part of your emotional body. And if your emotional body is just, you know, the reason why some people are more intuitive and more tuned in than others is because they're a cleaner vessel. They're not carrying all that emotional density. It's like people who are emotionally unavailable. It's because, well, there's just too much shit that they are not wanting to feel, that God forbid they should feel even a little bit of something that's going to open the door to all these other emotions, and we can't have that. Well, all the people who have been running away from feeling those emotions, essentially all the turmoil that you've been going through over the past few months, if not years, have been forcing you to deal with all of these things. Because in order for us to get to the next level, we can't be carrying all of this stuff with us, you know. We can't be carrying all this baggage. It's like when you move house, most of the time you kind of do a cleansing, and you get a cleansing in this sort of, you get rid of all the shit that you don't want to take into your new house. Well, this is what has been happening as you've moved into your new house. You were forced to, you know, kind of go in there and be like, okay, am I taking this? Am I taking that? Am I leaving this behind? Am I donating this? Am I chucking this? Am I burning this? And that's essentially what you've been up to. Just kind of getting rid of all of the shit and deciding what you want to do with it. And so The next card we have here is the bud, potential, promise. It's about to happen. Keep going. So whatever it is that you've been up to, whatever it is that's been percolating there in the back of your mind, whatever it is that you feel has been unfolding for you energetically, mentally, physically, spiritually, trust in this process. Something is opening up. It started off as a bud, but gradually that rose is beginning to open. Things are beginning to flower. You're starting to show. It isn't until when a rose fully opens up, it's only then that you see her true beauty. And so that is essentially what this card is saying, is you too, my beautiful being, you are a rose, and you are slowly beginning to blossom open and flower and show the world just what a spectacular fucking flower you are. And so the next card we have here is the child within. Yes, this is all this nurturing again. So it says inner mother, innocence, gentleness, tenderness. And it's funny because this is the card that came right under our Kuan Yin, dragon, because not all dragons are ferocious, my friends. Some of them are just, I always think of the dragon in Shrek, the dragon that Donkey marries. And like whenever I picture the dragons, that's how I picture the dragons. They're just so cute and and loving, and just wanna give you, like, imagine getting a hug from like a dragon that's like soft like this. Like, wouldn't you just feel so cocooned? And it's beautiful because, like, look at this, holding, she as the full-grown woman is being held by all this, like, this pink cocoon, and she is holding her inner child. And this is what is needed at this time, is this deep just holding of your inner child, is going back and connecting with yourself when you were just this pure, innocent, thing. And you just need to be held and loved and, just told that, like, you're good, you're loved, you're safe, you can rest here. Just give yourself that space and do whatever it is that you need to bring that softness in. Watching animations, I used to be someone who hated animations, and now, like, I just feel like my inner child coming alive, and I just feel like such a child, and just that innocent freedom that you have as children. And sometimes we need that, especially with all this fucking chaos and turmoil that's going on. You just need to, like, give yourself a hug. And the next card we have here is Sophia, divine plan, wisdom, intelligence within, destiny. Yes, as you give yourself, these energies of innocence and gentleness and tenderness. Again, look at how this is like a rose that is like opening up in the middle of the galaxy. It's like you are this cosmic rose, this galactic rose that has been wanting to open up, but it wasn't time. All of this emotional healing needed to be done so that the divine plan, which is within you, could unfold. The divine wisdom is within you. It is about trusting. It is about going inwards. It is about holding yourself. The reason why most of us don't want to go into stillness is because when we go into stillness, this is not what we're experiencing. We're experiencing a lot more of this. And this is not what we want to experience. We want to experience this when we go into those places of stillness. And so the question to ask yourself is, what is keeping you away from experiencing this? Because all of that information that comes through when you ask that question is going to help you connect with this, to open up. And that is the shadow work. That is you giving, receiving the information of all the reasons why you needed to close yourself off and not connect with these softer, more gentle, tender energies, because this is what we need, all of us. So the next card we have here is count your blessings. Yes, as much as there's shit and As much as there is shit and turmoil going on in your life at the moment, or has been going on, or maybe has been going on for as far back as you can remember, you know, and that's where I was for a really long time. So I totally relate. And it is okay to be like, I don't accept this shit. You know, I would question, like, why is life always so fucking hard? And that was because, well, those are just the lessons, and those were the pressures that I needed to be put under in order for my rose to unfold and for the divine plan to awaken within me. But I was opposing it for so long because I just didn't want to be in my heart. It was just like, nope, don't want to feel anything. I mean, I was the master at feeling nothing. I was the master of being like, no, emotions are weak. Emotions are not a thing. Emotions are not a thing I do. Crying is not a thing I do. You know, asking for help is not a thing I do. And this is what society is constantly teaching us. So, you know, we're made to think that these energies are weak. And this is what has been taken away from the woman. The woman has become so like, you know, when we think of women, it's just the way most of society now looks at women is for sexual gratification and just all this ew, disgusting shit. Why can't we think and remember women for the beauty that they provide and take the sex out of it for a while? Because this is what we all need, and especially for the men out there, the reason all of you go out there looking for sex. And, you know, and even for the women, I can say this, I was not used to any of this energies, and so I was totally emotionally unavailable, and so I was totally addicted to sex. But like, the sex was not loving, and it was not nurturing, and that's what we all really need. We all need deeper intimate connections with ourselves and with our lovers. You know, we shouldn't just be engaging in sex with any random fucking person. And you know, there's no judgment. I used to be there. There's absolutely no judgment. I understand it 100%. But what we're really, really craving is deep, meaningful emotional connections. And we cannot have these with another person until we have them with ourselves. And so one way to get there really, yes, is to count your blessings. Look at all the, you know, the more we look for the positive, the more we find it. The problem is that we're always looking for the darkness. But the more we look for the light, the more we will find it, because we are equally balanced, light and dark. But we have been living in the dark side for so long that we need to awaken to the light side. Yes, it is important to honor the darkness, but we must also seek the light. And interestingly enough, the next card we have here is Face Your Shadow. We can only truly awaken to the light once we have met the darkness. We have to embrace the darkness and realize it is as much a part of me as the light side is. And we mustn't be afraid to go and look at those parts of ourselves that we feel ashamed of or we feel guilt for. The idea is the shame and the guilt is masking something deeper. It is masking the fact that you just needed to be held and loved. And even if there are things that, you know, that are shameful, love those things. Embrace those things as opposed to trying to push them away from you. Embrace it, love it, accept it, and transmute it into something else. Because the only reason we do bad things is because we're operating from a place of shadow. And once we comprehend our shadow, we can take control over it. You know, it makes me think of like the Shaolin masters. They are literally walking machines. And if they were to get pissed off just like that, they could kill people without a second thought. But one of the reasons why, you know, martial arts is all about discipline is because they know their body literally becomes a lethal weapon. And if they're going to get, you know, one of the reasons why people fight is because they get triggered emotionally. But if you master your emotions, you master everything else. But your emotions come from your shadow. So what is triggering your emotions? What is triggering that anger? What is triggering that shame? What is triggering whatever it is that you're trying to hide away from through addictions? Because here it is, address your addictions. Whatever you are running away from in your shadow is what is causing your addictions, because addiction is not the problem. Addiction is the coping mechanism for a deeper emotional problem, a problem that you are not wanting to look at. And when we don't deal with our emotional traumas, because those are the most powerful, they literally eat away at our physical vessel. And so until you deal with those emotional traumas and you look at all of those things that you've been trying to hide away from for so long, your addictions will continue to have a hold over you. It is time for you to bust out of your cocoon. Sorry, the writing is back to front, but I'll show you the card anyways. So yeah, you've been in that moth, in that, that, what is it? Not a moth. Before the butterfly emerges, you're in the, I don't know what that thing is called, the sac, the cocoon. and interestingly, it's like, the womb is a cocoon. So don't be afraid to bust out of your cocoon. Now is the time to rebirth, push through the birthing canal and go with the flow. Go with the flow. Allow yourself to be guided. When you're being birthed through your mother's birthing canal, you have no clue what you're doing. I mean, I don't really know what you're thinking in there as a new baby. I don't really think that we are thinking anything. I think, when the fetus is in the womb there, you're basically in a deep state of like meditation or transcendental like trance, where you're so in tune with your mother. And so you kind of just are guided through guided through the birthing canal. You just kind of intuitively know where to go. You're just going with the flow. And so allow yourself to be guided. Allow the universe to guide you through this next process. The more you connect to your intuition, the more you awaken to your deep feminine qualities, the more you will experience such profound gifts that are just waiting to be experienced and known, and make your life so much easier, where things will just flow. Because literally we are being guided from something so much higher, and it is truly, truly magical. But when we are unwilling to open up to this magic, we miss the fact that things can be so easy. But all these traumas and things that we're holding onto, that is what is not allowing us to flow with ease. So you're on that journey. You are in the process of rebirthing. But now, as you're being given the opportunity to start your life afresh, what will you choose? It's like, if you could go, how many of us say, if I knew then what I knew now, how things would be so different? Well, the universe is literally giving you a fresh slate and giving you the opportunity to start life over. What are you going to do differently? How are you going to make sure that you end up on the path that you choose? Not where one day you wake up and be like, how did I get here? Because you were moving along to the beats of somebody else's drum. Well, now it's about moving to the beat of your own drum. Now you've acquired all of this deeper knowledge, this deep ancestral knowledge that is being shared, that is being whispered. But, if your mind is loud and there's all this shouting, how can you possibly hear the whispers of your ancestors that are wanting to guide you towards what they were not able to accomplish? Because so many of our ancestors died trying to get to this level of freedom. And we are here to anchor that freedom into this physical reality. But we need the assistance of our ancestors, because they walked the paths before us. And when we have knowledge and wisdom and understanding, we move in a totally different way. And so allow the spirit of your ancestors to hold you. Allow the spirit of your ancestors to guide you, because the more you work in unity with your ancestors, the more you will be guided exactly where it is you wish to go. So my beautiful people, thank you for stopping by. I'm sending you so much love. I'm sending you so much light. I'm sending you love and support. And know that you are not alone. Many of us out there are on this same journey. And so don't be afraid to connect. Don't be afraid to be emotionally open, because you'd be surprised how so many people around you are going through the same things that you are. Don't be afraid to be vulnerable, because when you open up and share, you realize that so many people around you are experiencing exactly the same thing that you are. So much love to you, and I'll see you in next week's video. Bye for now.